Well, hello and welcome to Story Conversations. Good afternoon to everybody watching in Australia, and we do have a guest joining us from Europe, so good morning to our guest in Europe. Welcome to Story Conversations. I'm your host, Stu Harris, and I'm also CEO and co-founder of Strategist, a marketing and strategy and media production company. We're privileged to be co-hosting today's conversation in partnership with CMAA. Today, some of you will have joined via Zoom webinar, courtesy of CMAA's invitation, and some of you will be watching on Facebook Live through the Christians in Screen Media Group, and some through the Story Strategist website on our Story Conversations page. So whichever way you're watching, and there's so many different ways to watch, we just want to welcome you. And hope you enjoy the next hour of our conversation together. So let me get started today before inviting our guests into the conversation to invite you to be a part of today's conversation by chatting to each other. You can use the chat interface in Zoom, or if you're participating on our website, you can participate in the chat there as well, but of course also on the Facebook page. If you want to ask questions or just have a chat with each other, you can do that as you're watching. So please participate. We also have some polls coming up in just a moment. We'll be monitoring all the platforms, and I'll do my best to keep across all of what's going on while engaging in the conversation as well. So today's conversation is titled Working in Film and TV as a Christian, which hopefully leaves things open enough to talk about what it means to be a person of faith working in film and TV, even if you're not specifically working for a Christian media organization. But today's guests have all worked on both sides. And so really, what about you? Are you working in Christian media? Are you working in film and television? We're going to post a poll right now to get to know and get a feel for who we're speaking to today. So up on your screen, if you're in Zoom, you'll see a poll. If you're watching on our Story Strategist site, just please use the chat window and just participate this way. But the poll will be asking you the question, is your main source of income from a screen media discipline? Yes, no, or I would like it to be. And, yes could be, even if it's just partial, a small amount of your income is through that. But we'd love to know if you are essentially a professional, working professional in screen media. It doesn't have to be Christian necessarily. It can be any sort of media at all. But we'd like to know whether you're a working professional. That would be really helpful. So in this conversation, we're going to explore opportunities and pathways for screen media practitioners to get involved in Christian media in Australia, as well as learn how each of our guests got involved and what they see as the future of Christian media. So how about I welcome our guests and we'll into the conversation. So here they are. Here are our guests. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to Adam. Adam Niven is the production team manager at ACCTV here on the Sunshine Coast, because that's where I am as well, in beautiful Queensland. And in this role, he is involved with the development and production of content produced by ACCTV, as well as working with others to co-produce content that meets the needs of ACCTV. Good afternoon, Adam.
Hi, Stu. Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Great to have you here. Ben Field. He's an award-winning producer and director, currently serving as head of programming for the Hillsong Channel, a television network broadcasting inspirational and uplifting shows to over 180 countries around the world. That's awesome. Ben Field, welcome to Story Conversations.
Thank you, Stu.
Great to have you here and to join the conversation today. And all the way from Europe, all the way from Holland, and it is gone 6:08 in the morning, if that's right, is Els Griffioen. Have I pronounced your surname right, Els?
Els is correct, but it's Griffioen.
Griffioen. I'm sorry about that. There we go. Should have done that before in the green room,
problem.
shouldn't we? So Els Griffioen is a senior producer with New Faith Network, a Christian streaming service that started in 2018 in the Netherlands and recently expanded to Norway, Sweden, United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. So we can get it here too, which is wonderful. So welcome to all of our panelists today. It's great to have you in Story Conversations today, and I look forward to the conversation we're going to have together. We might, in a moment, I'll have a look at the poll and see what kind of response we got there from everybody. But here it is. It's just come up on screen right next to me. Let me just have a quick look and see what the results are. So it seems that 42% of people joining our call today are earning their main source of income is from a screen media discipline, which is great to get an idea of who's watching and listening and participating today. There are 22% of people who said they would like to be. So there's a nice healthy number of people there that are tuning in, if you like, to get some information from us, to get some help in how to improve in their careers. And so let's hope that we achieve that today. Let's get into the conversation. And Ben, I want to start with you. Long before Hillsong Channel, you worked on Australia's longest running drama series. I thought we'd go straight there and talk about some of the past. Home and Away. How did you first get into television? People would love to know that.
So out of high school, I ended up doing a film production course, and my story of beginning really is one of, it's not what you know but who you know. I was very fortunate to meet somebody who was coordinating that film production course, who was a set dresser in the art department on a drama series at Channel 10. And I did really well. I was just barely 18, did really well in the course, and she offered me my first job as a stagehand. I ended up climbing my way up through various productions at Network 10, through to Channel 7, working on a show called All Saints and Home and Away, and freelancing on some other programs. But I ended up finding home at Home and Away, no pun intended, but ended up staying there for many, many years, and had the opportunity through the art department and then assistant directing to finally direct by my end of my tenure there. So left at the age of 30, which is only 10 years ago, directing the drama series, over a period of a year and a half.
That's fantastic. So you really worked your way up through the ranks there on Home and Away. Yeah,
it was in a season where, a lot of, if you did well, often people would move on to other productions and ask you if you wanted to come on the production that they'd been booked on, especially department heads of particular areas. And so I just found incredible open doors, a lot of hard work, but incredible open doors to be able to go and explore and experience the different areas of the television sector. And that kind of was, I was very fortunate because it gave me kind of a fly on the wall scenario to all the roles I would want one day, and then trying to figure out what skill sets would I need to develop to find myself knocking on that door at some point in time.
That's fantastic. Now, Els, I know that you have a connection to Australia as well, so I didn't want you to... I think the most important question here is, first of all, established whether Home and Away is something that people in Holland get to watch as well. Are you familiar with Home and Away?
No, sorry.
Oh, no. I was really hoping.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, what a shame.
I'm more into Flying Doctors.
Well, there we go. The Flying Doctors. We all probably know. Yeah, the Flying Doctors really goes back a few years, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, well, for Els, you did also start out your career in commercial television at Sky High TV in the Netherlands 20 years ago. What kind of television programs were you involved in, and what was your role?
Yeah, well, it's like Ben. I've actually started working in IT, and after a year, coming to the conclusion that I did not have anything going on with me and computers. So I was in a bar with a friend, and he said, well, why don't you come work with us? Because we really need a producer. And I said, I have no idea what a producer is, but if you can explain it to me, maybe I like it. So he told me what it was, and it was actually sounding very appealing, because I always like to organize things and be very hands-on, and did always do the party planning at all the parties in the student sorority that I was in. So I kind of forgot about it, and next day I got a text from him saying I arranged the interview. So I kind of also was rolled into that and started working as a producer. And just in the Netherlands, a producer is more, if you start out, the person who arranges the lunches and makes the call sheets. And so I've worked there for 18 years, and did a number of shows. And from, maybe you ever heard of the EO Youth Day? It's like a very big gathering with 35,000 people. So that was kind of one of the highlights. But also did commercial television, from entertainment to human interest to kind of everything in between. And from only the technical side of stuff, I rolled into also more the thinking about starting up new shows, and also more the storylines. So it all came together in the end, but I started out really practical.
Yeah, that's good. And we're going to get into a bit more of, where those sort of opportunities were and where they could be for people listening today as well. Adam, I want to turn to you. Your professional interest in film and television started in academia, if I got that right. Can you share a little bit more about that?
So probably a different pathway to the other guys. I found a Bible college that was doing, this was back in the mid-2000s when everybody was doing music. There was a particular college doing creative, but focused more around film and TV and storytelling. And so I went in that pathway. I worked with them then around sort of external learning, which led me to look into how video was getting added into Bible study materials, was probably where I focused my time. But that kind of led me into the whole area of what's it mean to be in this space, using creative media of all sorts to try and communicate with people with some level of purpose, and how we might think that through and do that. So I did that for a few years, and then I actually then was working commercially in digital marketing for a couple of years before moving across to ACCTV. So that was kind of my journey to this point.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, how is your sort of theology and media theory, how's that influenced what you do in your role at ACCTV?
It's probably more just that big picture perspective and how we think about what film and TV can actually do, and how I think one of the things that came out of my I guess the research I did in this space is it's not necessarily that things are negative or positive, but different media will push in different directions and have different strengths and weaknesses. And so we really, I think, need to think through that well, so we can develop the right kind of content into the kind of spaces. And so even as we talk about film and TV, the way even something like this, just because we're the guys all sitting on the webcam presenting to a group out there, it's saying something about us. And there's certain things that are being transmitted in that moment that maybe people think, oh, that could never be me. How could I ever be those people? And I think we're probably all sitting here going, why am I on this webinar? I've kind of stumbled to where I am, and what a miracle it is to be here. So it's probably just bringing that thinking in, to always be looking at, that as well as then through the lens of the audiences we're trying to connect with, and the right stories to be telling, or the right ways to be engaging with those audiences in those moments that we're trying to create. And with what I do now, it's always about the sort of film and television media. Yeah.
And I know that obviously, Adam, you've had a big part in trying to help bring, young filmmakers, storytellers, if you like, into the fold at ACCTV, and we might get into some of that shortly as well. I just wanted to sort of branch into the kind of meat of the conversation, if you like, and start with sort of asking the question to all of you, and feel free to jump in, whoever wants to go first. But I guess what I ask the question is, what is Christian media? In the context, certainly, of the channels that you represent, maybe we can frame it that way and limit it a little bit. But what is Christian media? What does that mean in the concept of TV and channels?
Well, I can start if you like. Oh, go Els.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No problem. I have a bit of a delay, so my mouth was before the audio. It's actually quite has been quite a journey for Dutch channels for Niven Network to define that. So that's quite interesting, because we started out with almost only sermons and inspirational documentaries and very in-depth information and inspiring content that we thought was really catching on. And at a certain point, we added some Christian movies and saw just our audience jumping on the entertainment side of the Christian films and series. So actually, we started focusing more and more on drama and film and series, and also the really in-depth documentaries. And what we found out, and there's like a big saying hanging in our office, like, I don't know if it translates well to English, but it says like, they're also just human beings. Like, it's not that Christians only want to listen to sermons all day. They also want to relax in the evening and watch a good movie, which is safe, and also might have a great Christian message in the evening. So we really learned through trial and error there.
That's great. And Ben?
Yeah, well, I think in the context of what the Hillsong Channel is about, is it's an extension of the local church. And when you try and translate that through to programming, we want to create programming that's uplifting, that's challenging and encouraging people in their faith, that's leading them into a place of worship. And so we look for creative ways to be able to do that, as a channel. And that can get really hard, because I think all the challenges of Christian networking funding, and trying to create elevated content, especially when you branch out of non-scripted into scripted, or off the preaching platform or the stage of music into other areas. But at the core of, for us, it is taking the gospel out in the world. If we are able to reach people in their homes, on their mobile devices, from their tablets, in any way we can, with a message that is going to meet them where they're at, and with a message of grace, extended grace, to them with the gospel, then that's really, for us, what kind of Christian television or Christian media is. It's taking the gospel out. And we often meet people on the other side of the world who engage with our channel, or we get constant letters being written in of people just of some of the most extraordinary circumstances that find the channel, and feel like that they've had that spiritual experience through the teaching or the worship or a chat show or a kids television or a docu-series that we've produced. So I think it is taking on what is the message of that gospel, what is the heart of a local church and the spirit of that, and then being able to transfer that into programming that is elevated content as much as possible for people to be able to not just consume, but be transformed by.
That's great. Adam, just before you jump in with a response, I'm just going to encourage the audience a little bit, because I can see some comments flying through here, which is great. And thank you to everyone who's participating. We've got some folks in WA watching, and people all around Sydney, Victoria, Geelong. So people all over the place watching and listening and participating here. I'd like to also just while Adam's responding, maybe get some feedback as well as to we've got some people from South Africa and Indonesia as well. That's great. Well, welcome to you guys too. But we'd love to just hear also from our audience as to how you interact with Christian media, like, and television in particular. Are you watching ACCTV? Are you watching New Faith Network? Are you watching Hillsong Channel? What other channels are you watching? Maybe put the names of the channels that you watch that are Christian media channels, wherever they are. There may be others too. But we'd love to see that in the chat. I'm seeing here Mandy from WA is saying that she's watching Hillsong Channel. We've got Peter is watching ACCTV. This is great. So we're getting some great feedback. Adam, why don't you jump in there and just give us a little bit of an overview of what Christian media means from an ACCTV point of view?
Yeah, sure, Stu. I think for us, like, our catchphrase is "We love good TV," and so I think maybe part of what Els was talking about as well, we're in a similar space where I guess our catchline is, that we love good TV, we love good stories, and ultimately we want to share stories that transform people's lives and put them in contact with the hope of Jesus. So we try and not look at, I guess, any one specific piece of content as having to do everything and all in that space. So I think that's what El was touching on. Sometimes, people do need a definite sermon or a direct word or something like that. But other times they do just need to sit in front of a movie and see that sort of world we live in where good and evil are in tension with each other. We aim towards stories of hope, redemption, and those kind of things, because we want to leave our audience feeling good about what they've watched, and feel inspired and feel hope and feel encouraged. So I think it's those kind of words that sum up, because you'll find on ACCTV that we'll have some programs that have very small, what might be classed as a faith element, or sort of using a sort of Christian label. But then, and I think that's one of the tensions in this space that anyone needs to think through in some ways, is that Christian is best used as a noun about the people that follow Christ. And so, when a missionary goes into a new land to reach that people group, like Ben said before, you're trying to reach people where they are. And so how you tell stories, or how you work in that culture in a way that will resonate with the audience you're trying to resonate with, may mean that it might not carry a Christian label in the sense that we might think sort of holy, sacred, and set apart. So there's always this kind of tension that can exist in this space. So for ACCTV, we kind of are right across that to some degree, both from having just straight up preaching to more engaged teaching content, but then to some reality TV series that, sure, it's focused on a family of faith, but there's little touch points that you'll see through the show, but there's never a deep sort of this is what the gospel might mean, or those kind of things that sometimes can be attached to Christian content.
That's great. Thank you, Adam. Now, I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about how people can kind of find on-ramps into media, into screen media disciplines. And I would just sort of want to start by talking, I prepared some questions around education and how important things like film school are. But of course, the thing is that you've got two sides of the business here. We've got the business of running a channel, which is what all three of you guys are doing. And then you've got storytellers. And so the context of your answer, so if I ask you, how important do you think it is to be, if there's people here we know are watching, and they might be wondering, do I have the right qualifications? Do I have the right knowledge and experience? Maybe you can answer that question from both angles. If they were looking to get a job at ACCTV or at Hillsong Channel, or New Faith Network, how important is it to be qualified? What kind of qualifications do people need to work in a broadcaster, if you like, versus how important do you think film school is, perhaps, for content creators? Maybe Ben, do you want to have a go at jumping into that first?
Yeah, I think education's always key, and for any place that you are applying to work, you need to have a skill set, and that organisation needs to assess that skill set on how much value you are going to add to the company or the organization to be able to move forward in terms of the vision that they seek to outwork. My advice would be is, if you're young or younger in the journey, getting in is extremely important. Getting a foot in the door, and you hear the stories of when you're young, you're running photocopying missions or getting coffee, or you're putting schedules together and in a minor way, or you're parking trucks, whatever you need to do to get in and really get a lay of the land, do a recce on what are my skill sets, what are my gifting. But to be able to go for a job, yes, you have to be able to add value in a significant way to any organization, whether it be in our sector or not. And so from seeing what you have a passion to do and being skilled and being able to add value through that skill to that, it's being strategic with trying to find the best pathway or the right pathway to get to the position that you need to. I think when I was in my early 20s, I thought it was all a year or two away. It took 10 years to get to directing, and that was my goal at that point. Doing what I do now happened just because of being faithful in standing the post that I was kind of given at the time. So it's amazing how God shifts the landscape, but you have to be positioned. And so I would say the takeaway is you need to be in a position where God can use you. You need to be always working at your craft and learning. The on-ramp is have a skill set that is required, is needed. In film sets, TV studios, production offices don't need a lot of warm bodies that can only lick envelopes, but it's a good entry point to get in there and get started. On the film side, really it is about your gifting. If you're a director or a writer, your calling card is your material. It's not so much I came from NYU and therefore I'm going to be a great director on your next movie. It doesn't work like that. Your business card is your last project that you worked on, whether that be a short, whether it be a screenplay you've written. It's all about having a body of work to be able to create that shop front for people to want to work with you, and for you to be able to walk through that. So yes, education, certainly, if you are uneducated in it, get the foot in the door, get the lay of the land, find out where your gifting is. That's going to take time to figure out. I went in wanting to direct. I definitely had that as a long-term goal, but I had to work my way up through staging and the art department and the assistant director's office for a pathway to be able to get there. But find what you love, find what you're passionate about, understand those roles, learn as much as you can, and always going into opportunities knowing that I can add value. It would be crazy for people to say no to me about coming on this set and helping, because I add value, to what they're doing.
That's great. Adam, have you got anything to add to that?
Oh, I think for most of us as well, it's who you know. And so, yes, you need to bring a skill set, but it's also doing everything you can to connect in then with the people that you're hoping can lead to opportunities as well. We all sit here from, I guess, the side of distributors. At the same time, it's never been easier for you to distribute good content, and so there's pathways to be. I think if you're wanting to direct and you're not actively pursuing that in different ways, even if that is just pulling together the crew that you can at your church and doing a short film just for the sake of learning from it. That's the kind of things that it's never been easier to do. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that sort of stuff. Sure, you could do it at end on a VHS tape in grandma's cupboard sometime, but there's an opportunity now to distribute those kind of things that you're working on, and there are those opportunities, but I think it does come from continuing to hone your craft, hone your skills. And I think a really important thing that Ben's touched on is that, it does take a crew to create the kind of stuff at higher levels. So if you're aiming to be the one one person band doing everything, it's just not realistic. So you've really got to get a taste for where's my niche in this field that I can really lean into, and that's what I really want to do, and pursue that with a passion.
And Adam, I mentioned just briefly earlier on that I know that the channel have some on-ramps. You have the school-based trainee program that accepts, just one or two people at a time. How have you found that in terms of giving opportunities to even people that are still in high school? How has that gone down for you guys?
Yeah, that's been a great thing that we've added. I mean, for those guys, they get exposed to the industry. They help us with a lot of the sort of bulk work that we do. So it's not shiny editing. You'd probably prefer to be getting sent to get coffees and sometimes doing what you have to do. But yeah, the kids get exposed to the different programs that we do produce. They do get exposed to processes and being in an office and the environment of what we do as an organisation. And then as a team, we've got to keep a balance. So it's sort of, yes, again, I'm touching on what Ben said. Sometimes we've given opportunities to really hungry, younger guys that have got a bit of a portfolio together that shows there's something we can work with here. They're really eager. They're demonstrating that. And that can be the foot in the door at times, depending on what's available for the team. Obviously, if we've just lost someone with experience, we need to replace that. But quite often it's been our story that we would have younger people come in and then they would do a number of years with us, and that would really just help build out their skill set, and they can leave with greater experience and what they came in with.
And Els, if I can ask you, do you, with the New Faith Network and the Dutch channels, have many sort of opportunities for bringing new talent into the business and giving them opportunities, to practice professionally?
Yes, definitely. And I think it's a little bit of both. It's yes, you do need some kind of education in the direction of TV or journalism, but I think the most important thing about that education is actually your internships, because it can all be very nice to study on paper, but if you make television in real life, then you get a taste of what's my talent in this. And yes, we're always looking for or interns or younger professionals who just really show a drive, a passion, and willingness to learn. And I think the best ones have stuck around with us, and we are part of the team now. And yeah, really happy with that. And so yeah, there are definitely opportunities, and you don't have to have a very big portfolio to work with us, but you have to be eager to learn and show, that maybe if you want to be a filmmaker and you haven't shot anything yet, just at home or at school, what then is your passion? Are you just waiting to do it professionally? So yeah, I'm taking that all into account when we invite people for job interviews.
That's great. And so I think obviously being connected as individuals to our churches, there are opportunities probably right at the end of our nose to actually work together on different things, whether that's initially just collaborating on camera work together and volunteering at church, but then right through to actually working on some short stories together perhaps as well, and then sort of seeing how well they track in online and so on. Ben, maybe you could just share a little bit about how Hillsong have sort of developed talent and how you bring people into the Hillsong channel and the Hillsong film and TV fold.
I can. Sorry, somebody's FaceTime.
Good timing. They want to join the conversation too.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, I think if you're present and you're around and people are aware of what you do, you're in line to have your work looked at. And so, for us, we're constantly looking for up and coming talent, ones that are getting started but have a unique voice or a unique skill set in certain areas. Through our Hillsong College, we have an amazing opportunity to be able to see students coming through, but But outside of that, there are people that are volunteering every weekend, you know, at a church, whether it be camera operating or in the control room. And you have the opportunity to be able to see which people, you know, have a gifting in there, which people have a natural leadership gift or a specific skill set that you can help develop and support that and be able to bring them through to what they, you know, ultimately what they want to do. I look at when I was 14, I started coming to youth at Hillsong, and I was volunteering on the weekends as a camera assistant for the stage cameras. And back then we only had two. There were two, I think they were even third hand cameras, not even second hand, but third hand cameras at the time. And because I was so young, I was just told, don't touch the cameras, just the cables. We love that you're here to serve, but you understand this is like new for us. But at 14, I was able to then learn how to set up a multicam camera system. And every week I would go back and I would keep volunteering and volunteering and volunteering. And if I look back, because I had positioned myself to be around, because I had positioned myself to learn, like Els was saying, there was an eagerness to learn. I was wide-eyed. How does it all work? How can I be of service? How can I add value to what you're doing? Over time, and that doesn't happen just with one person noticing it on one occasion and saying, right, you've done it. It's over a period of time. As you're growing, you're also growing in the sight of others who will then create pathways for you to be able to tackle or take on more responsibility, and then opening up that skill level. But yeah, at Hillsong, you know, we have the college in terms of people coming through, and we also have our volunteer base, and we're constantly looking for people. And once we find them, we hold them close and we try and design pathways for them to end up in the destination that they believe God's called them to, or what their passions are, irrespective of whether that benefits us as a church or a channel. Because of that experience I had at 14, and my testimony is that actually got me my first job in the industry just before I turned 18. And I remember going for that interview with the station master at Channel 10, and I showed him my resume, and on there I'd been a part of a multicam broadcast of a church service every Sunday for the last 4 years. I'd been involved in a live music concert recording, you know, of music, which was distributed to 40 countries at the time, you know what I mean? And so he was looked at all of that. I knew how to set up multicam cameras and white balance and black balance and do all the technical things at that age. And I remember him looking at me saying, how do you know all of this? And I said, it's actually my church. And he's like, which church has a multicam setup and broadcast? And I said, my church does. Like, it's just the way it is. So never underestimate just turning up and getting involved. And whether that be church, or whether it be your friend's short film, or whether it be the local theatre down the road. I often drive past one locally to me, and I see the banner out the front of the play that they have on the weekends. And I thought, you know what, it doesn't hurt for me to get involved somehow with a local theatre production, just to be able to build my skill set and grow my skill set and add value to that. So yeah, sorry, long answer there, but yeah, position yourself, and then once you get positioned, grow, learn as hard as you can. And we try to do that as much as we can on the channel side.
That's great. Thank you, Ben. Let's talk a little bit about content, and maybe just branch a little bit away from feeling the necessity to talk specifically about your channel and your perspective. I want to talk about original content and how important that we think original content is, to your channel, but just to channels generally. To how important do you think it is for brands to have original content today?
Yeah, I think for us, we're based in the Netherlands, and most of the movies and series you buy are actually from America. So if you want to add some local community and local flavor to your platform, you need some locally made content to have the specific flavor that Christians in that country can relate to. So for us, definitely, it's in the Netherlands, we have built that up, and there are like 25 different series that we made. But here in Australia, we're just getting started, and we look into your country and maybe have some knowledge, but people actually living here and being Christians just live and breathe the Christian lifestyle here, and just we need to make and acquire some originally made content. To make it Australian, because you can't just start a channel with only American and maybe some European content. So for us, it's very important.
That's good. And I know you and I have had a separate conversation about maybe helping people here in Australia understand that you're looking to license content, right? That's locally produced, that might have an Australian film to it, feel to it. So what we'll do is, firstly, I'll give you an opportunity to answer that. Is that something that you want to encourage people to do?
Yeah, definitely. Like there are 3 types of content I'm specifically looking for, and that's content that's already there. So Christian films and series. It could be small budget things, but really Australian. And also we're wanting to make bigger productions. I've already talked to you about that, Stu, and hopefully we'll get that up and running. And also we want to get in touch with people that can make the smaller productions for us. Like in the Netherlands, we have somebody working full-time on making our own productions, just somebody who can film and edit and is also a kind of director. And of course, he will be unable to do that in Australia. So we're definitely looking for those people, Christian people that are into filmmaking and want to help us out.
That's good. And so just by way for anybody listening who's interested in, getting in front of any of our panelists here, I'll be asking this question at the end anyway, like how do people get in contact with you? But I'll also say up front that I'll post the show notes, if you like, to this, including any contact information that our panelists are wanting to share with you. I'll put those on the Story Conversations page on our website, the Story Strategist /conversations. I'll explain where that is later because I've got a screenshot of it, so you'll be able to see that, and we'll put your contact details there, or whoever's contact details you want it to go to, that is, because it'd be just somebody else in the team. But we're getting some good questions in here about pitching, and so obviously, I'm sure you've never had anybody pitch to you before, but if something like that was something that someone was interested in doing, Ben, how would you? Is that something you're open to these days?
Yeah, always open to pitches. I think the things to think about is does it fit the platform? I think generally when you're pitching to any platform is to do your research on the kind of programming they're already either acquiring or producing, as originals. And when you pitch in. Legally these days, it becomes more of a challenge now to get kind of unsolicited pitches, and so we have to be mindful of it, but totally open from time to time, listening to ideas that kind of come through. That's
great. Els, I just want to go back to you for a minute because I realised I missed a question I really wanted to ask. I think our listeners would be interested. What is it that attracted New Faith Network to Australia in particular? I see you've expanded to New Zealand. I know we've got friends here from New Zealand in the call, and there's Shine TV. We've got people from Shine watching today, which is great. What is it about Australia and New Zealand, perhaps, that attracted you to this market?
Yeah, well, we did they were actually like in our top 5, and we did a smoke test just to see what the reactions of the people were. And actually, from the countries we selected in Australia, it was like a massive response. We did not see that coming. Like it was bigger than we anticipated, and also for us very practical. When going to Norway and Sweden, you also have to have a big translations team there to translate all the movies and series. So going to an English language country is always easier. So that makes for us the investment a little bit lower, and also and there are also, I think, 70% of people I saw in the review that in Australia also already access online on-demand platforms. So that is already a base for what we're doing. It's not a new thing. That we have a Christian SVOD platform is a new thing, but the market is already well known to people to have
That's
a
good.
subscription to a platform.
So I'm just going to jump here to your webpage just so everyone can see it. So this is New Faith Network, the website. I'm actually just on the homepage, so I haven't logged into the actual app. So it's newfaithnetwork.com. Just also give a plug here to, of course, Hillsong Channel is the Hillsong Channel website. Also has a free trial. We've got different business models here for each, and I was going to ask some questions around that, but I think we might do that another time, just in the interest of time, because we're running low on time already. Time just gets away so quickly when you're having fun. And then we've got here the Australian Christian channel, ACCTV, and lots of content there as well to enjoy. Movies, TV, and so on. So 3 platforms. There are others that are available locally to Australia, but we see here that these are the streaming platforms, anyway, the streaming channels. I know that ACCTV and Hillsong Channel are also on broadcast. They're live as well. How important do you think broadcast is? Is broadcast still important, Ben?
Still very important. That's definitely what our data shows. It does cater for an older demographic. For the highest kind of viewership of the Hillsong channel is US 55 plus female, slightly female skew, but that's coming, more evenly. It is an older demographic. It is still vitally important. I don't think broadcast is dead. It's definitely not showing signs of not doing what it needs to do, at least for, I would say, the next 10, 15 years. It is reaching into areas. We see a lot of people that are catching through cable and through the broadcast, more than we are people that will engage through a subscription. What we do find with the subscription, on the other hand, is that it's obviously, allows a younger demographic to get a hold of that. It allows the content to be viewed on demand, which suits a lot of people's lifestyles to be able to do that. For us, it goes hand in hand. We started off as a broadcast network that created an SVOD platform to be able to hold our content downstream and make that available for people outside. Because we are a global channel, we are broadcasting 24/7 around the world.
That's right.
Quite often different time zones won't be able to see certain levels of programming. So we make that all available, on our SVOD. But no, broadcast isn't dead. It's still very powerful, and we still get many, many letters from people that tune in through the broadcast.
I think the clue there was letters. I'm not sure what they are, but that's okay. I think I had one from someone asking to sponsor.
For some reason,
donate
people write a lot of letters, and we
They're
get
doing
a lot
that.
of, the Hillsong channel is in over 50% of prisons in the US.
Wow.
And we get a lot of mail from prisoners. And we just get a lot of mail in general. It seems to still be the way that people like to write pages of their testimony and sharing how the channel has impacted their lives, or a story that they can share.
Sticking with streaming media and content, I was reading, well, it was actually late last year, but original and exclusive content, I think, is one of several keys to success in television today. I heard that, I think it was HBO originally, it took them 40 years or something to make their first original series, and then Netflix, it took them 10 to go from DVD rentals to original content. Now Netflix originals are essentially what drives traffic to continue, or sticky traffic anyway, to remain with the platform. So, but late last year, HBO announced it was closing down its South Asia operations due to stiff competition in the broadcast space and a lack of original content. So for HBO, I believe this is also a strategic move to focus on their streaming platforms. But let's talk about streaming media a little bit more. While we're talking about original content, I do want to ask our audience as well to maybe just share what inspiring films and/or TV shows you've enjoyed watching. They don't have to have necessarily strong Christian themes, but share in the chat any kind of films or TV shows that you enjoy watching that are inspiring and Christian, if you like, as well. But content that you've enjoyed. I'm always looking for a good movie recommendation as well, and I'm sure our panelists are too. But yeah, original and exclusive content. What is it? How important is that to the success, the continued success? If you look at HBO, they've shut down operations in South Asia. We're talking India here and other countries. You know, with a big chunk of the world's population, they've just shut down broadcast. Do you think that's going to have an ongoing? Is that something that you're looking at as well? You know, keeping an eye on, let's say.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I can jump in. Yeah, we are. I mean, look, the reality of today's market is that it's a platform war for exclusivity. Original programming is the key, because, you know, when you create a platform, whether it be an SVOD or an AVOD or whatever, it's creating a waterhole for people to keep coming back to. And if your content, if there's nothing that's elevated about your content on that platform, or it's content that people can get elsewhere with other content that they want, you're really putting yourself out of business. In our case, in the Christian media space, all business is good business, because we're in the business of getting the gospel out. And so, but, you know, I think on that front, you know, there is a competitive edge for, you know, is the Hillsong Channel competing with ACC or with TBN or whatever? Well, it's not really a competition at that level, but we are fighting for time in people's day to be able to tune into our platforms. And our competitors are Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, who are creating large volumes under their business model of original content. And we're all consumers of it too. I mean, let's not you know, kid ourselves. I probably watch more non-Christian television or Christian content than I do, you know, secular. So I think, you know, we have to understand that it is a saturated market, and what are we bringing to the table as content creators that will allow people to keep coming back over time? And for us, that is personalities. It's originality of certain series or content that we can bring to the table. And it's doing things at a level that people will enjoy and will benefit from it. So yeah, it is. They would shut down, you know, because we are a global, you know, we assess things on a global scale. But I could understand that if our original content in one part of the world wasn't performing, it would not be a good business move to keep injecting funds into that area if the viewership's not stacking up.
Yeah. Sadly, we're running very low on time. I'm told that we've got to wrap in a few minutes. So, but I just want to jump, and Adam, I might ask you this question, if you can kind of keep a fairly brief answer, but not just yes or no. But I'd say, interestingly, during all of our careers in film and TV, you know, 20 plus years each, social media has now become a platform for storytellers. And, you know, we could spend a whole episode, and maybe we need to come back and do that, because I think there's a lot more to discuss around this area and this opportunity for storytellers. You know, in the past, it was the free TV and cable TV networks that controlled the media. But today, that's shifted, right? We've also seen social channels emerge from individual creators and groups of influencers collaborating together within similar fields of interest. You know, what opportunities are you seeing for Christians to influence on these platforms? It's easy to be attracted to the glitz of the theatrical release and broadcast television. I don't want people to be distracted by just those things, but maybe you can speak from personal experience. Is YouTube an area that we should be paying closer attention to? Adam?
I think the opportunities with YouTube still are probably largely untapped in a lot of ways. That there's opportunity for people to really influence into that space. You've got to remember, it's the second biggest search engine behind Google and owned by Google. So there's risks, because obviously, as we've seen, you know, a business like Twitter can kick the US president off and there's nothing he can do about it. So you need to be aware, if you're going into those spaces, like what your backup plans B and C might be. But you know, I think a great example in Australia at the moment is the way Jimmy Giggle's probably never been bigger as a celebrity, and he was on broadcast television at the most popular Australian television platform across Australia. And, he just tapped into this little niche, started creating content, and it took off. So there are opportunities. I think, though, it's easy to not realize how much work he's putting in to make those things happen. Like there's scripts and there's performance and there's editing and there's all of those kind of things. So, I think even in the social platforms, the expectation levels might be different, but they're still there. And honestly, I think, there's legacy around broadcast. There's, I think, even in a way, legacy around streaming services, as we don't really see the disruption of these other platforms in their fullness just yet. But I'm starting to see it in my kids. So my kids are 12 to 19. Even to get them to sit and watch a feature film can be a task now, because they watch hours and hours of TikTok and YouTube. And so their entertainment tastes are completely different to mine. And so, in 10 years' time, when they've grown up on that, their whole developing years, it may be strange for them to kind of then go, oh no, I'm going to flick to feature film. So I think there's never been more opportunities to be active, to be doing things, to be finding those opportunities. And, that can be the foot in the door.
That's good.
Getting a good following behind some stories you're creating.
Again, I feel like this is the possibility for a future conversation between us, and so many other things. I barely scratched the surface there, and there's a lot of great questions coming in still from people. And I just wanted to invite the audience, as we just start to wrap, maybe so you can quickly just share any YouTubers that you're following, any Christian YouTubers that you've been influenced by, any Christian channels on YouTube, like I won't give you any, but anyway, you can have a look. Maybe just put that in the chat as well. Would love to see what people are, are actually watching as well on social media. Again, lots of great questions. They're going to have to wait to another day. I want to just close with a point from Ben, actually, because Ben, I was going to touch on Southland Studios here as well, and I know this is sort of jumping back into the film space, but you've seen opportunity, and it's sort of, if I'm not mistaken, a burning ambition of yours to build a studio and or a model rather to make film. Tell us a little bit about that. I know we're early days, but I think people would love to hear a little bit about it, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've always been fascinated by film, but I've always found myself in the television world. So, in the last kind of year and a half, through various opportunities, we've had the opportunity to be able to launch Southland Studios, which, is predominantly there to tell true stories that are faith-friendly, values-based, or even socially impacted. And the heart of that really is to engage audiences to not just be entertained, but to be able to create difference within their own world. There's another studio in LA called Participant Media. They do something very similar. And really the heart behind that is to, of course, bring, projects to the screen that are uplifting, that are inspiring, but also it came out of a heart of understanding, what is the next generation? What are the shoulders of the next generation able to stand on in that film industry? And who are the content creators that are being born now? What paths do they need to take? And, I had a lot of friends over time that, extremely talented storytellers, filmmakers, who had to go out into the world to really earn a living and do what they needed to do. There wasn't really a framework to be able to bring uplifting content like that. So we launched Southland last November. We've been very fortunate. We're working with the Irwin brothers already on a project to be released in October. They did I Can Only Imagine, amongst some other films, and we're in the middle of acquiring various materials around the world, in that space to produce. So it's exciting times. It's different. Filmmaking is very different to television producing, but we're in that learning phase, and then have partnered with some really great people to kind of help us, give us a shot in the arm to turbo boost it.
That's great, and congratulations for getting that started. Again, I'm certain that there will be people just itching to know if that will present opportunities for them locally here in Australia, for the film space here, for Christians who want to get a foot in the door. So again, if that's something that people want to, maybe you could just share how they get in contact with you as well.
Yeah, southlandstudios.com is the website, and there's a contact page on that. That's the best way to kind of get in touch with us. But I think even also, if you're Australian right now, there's such a great time to be creating content. Our government is certainly supporting, and with the state rebates, the producers offsets, for certain amounts are available, and they're quite attractive when you look at the world standards of what's being offered. So, just to kind of sum up, people that are trying to get creating, start writing, start directing, making short films. One of the things I'll just quickly mention from before, my first directing job at Channel 7 and Home and Away was because I had made 2 short films, and they weren't great short films, but they were just on YouTube. And when the station was going through looking for new directors, the producer who knew me for 8 years that I was there said, "Oh, you've done some shorts. You know how to cover scenes. You know how to get performances. Would you want to come in and do, a crash course in directing?" And that was my dream. So, 10 years of chasing a dream, and it came down to actually having some material that he could see that I even had the potential to be able to do it with a little bit more training. And so, never underestimate just creating as much as you can, getting it out there, using those platforms to be able to show what you can do and use that as a calling card.
And I feel like Southland could be we need more Southlands in order to get more content made that could potentially end up on platforms like Netflix and on Hulu and on Amazon Prime. There's been a bunch of questions around that, like, not necessarily just about the channels that you guys represent, but of course the places like Netflix, the ABC, Fox, other studios as well, where we might be able to get sort of stories that are good and so on out there. Is that part of your dream for Southland?
Well, it is, yes, and we're based in Los Angeles and here where I am in Sydney. And look, the streaming, the business model, they work in verticals, so that faith inspirational vertical does exist. They are looking for content in that space, but they also needed to have a level of kind of universal appeal as well. So it really comes down to finding the right stories, how those stories are particularly told at the level that they need to tell. But yes, Southland's goal will be to be able to obviously facilitate having a distributor like Netflix as a deal partner. But our first project happens to be a theatrical release through Lionsgate, which is really exciting. But yes, streaming, theatrical release, wherever the platform is, it's about getting it out there. But yeah, I think the streamers have definitely understood that there is a huge market for what we do. And I think it's time for us as content creators to see the responsibility to kind of make some noise and create content that can fit there. Otherwise, those kind of verticals will shrivel up and they will become a thing of the past. And so I would encourage anybody listening to this that, like I said, if you're writing a script or you're directing a short film, just keep creating, keep networking, keep finding the people that are making. Get on Box Office Mojo, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. Find the people who are making the content that you love, that you want to create. Find out how you can get close to them and learn from them. Pick up the phone and call. Many of these people, especially IMDb Pro, have people's contact details, or at least their managers, to be able to call and set a call to be able to talk through their pathway. How can they get connected if you're a young, inspiring and aspiring filmmaker to get a start? So yeah, get at it.
It's really good. And I'd like to also just give a bit of a plug as well to the Christians in Screen Media Facebook page, which is something that it really is only going to be a success in terms of getting us working together and seeing new opportunities if we actually start using it and talking and collaborating and putting ideas forward. And I saw Dale Stevens had asked a question about do you have have a need for professional actors. Of course there's a need for professional actors. We need professional, professional just means paid, but do we need actors, camera operators? Like, we need everybody. But often I find the question is people just don't know who is out there. And I'd say use the Christians in Screen Media Facebook group. Just hop on if you haven't already joined it, join it today. Introduce yourself. It is a private group, so I'll have to accept you. But do that and start sharing the things that you would like to do. Who are the people that you want to work with? Who are you looking for? And start collaborating, start making short films, and then you can post them to Els. You can send her your links. She's looking for content for the New Faith Network, and Adam as well for the channel. They're looking for content. There are pathways for content. Sorry, Adam.
Like Ben said as well, just to follow up on the funding available, like if you have a serious project and you other funding attached and things like that, adding a letter of support from someone like an ACCTV may also be a way to help open up opportunities there as well. So if the project has merit, and just like any platform, we're looking for particular content. So, right at that early phase, we can look at something and have some idea whether something like this may fit with what we're looking for or not. So you can just...
Yeah. It's really good.
There.
Yeah, that's good. So please encourage each other, work together. We all want to build this industry, of course, and part of the motivation for these story conversations that we've started is to start having public conversations that people like you that are watching today are interested in, so we can share our ideas and inspire one another. That's the motivation for doing this, and that's the motivation of CMAA as well. And I want to give a plug to the Connect 21 conference that's happening as an experience, in fact, that will be happening in just a few weeks. Really, it's not that long away. The end of August, and that will be also. There's a whole day on the Friday where we get together if we want to meet in person on the Gold Coast, and that will be an exciting time to celebrate some of the achievements in the Christian media space as well, because we'll be having an awards evening and a dinner together as well, which will be great fun. So I hope to see you there. Do jump on the Media Arts website and register for a ticket, because I think there's actually a discount still available, a saver price available if you want to join that. But we are actually, sadly, at the very end of our conversation, and I know I've had a few people had to jump off at 3:00, and we did say it would run an hour, so I've run 10 minutes over. I apologize for that, but there's some great stuff here, and I really hope Ben, Els, Adam, I want to thank you first of all for being with us today, but I also want to invite you to join another conversation in the future. Maybe we can dig deeper into some of these aspects of social media content that we might be able to produce, short films, other opportunities. I know there are many conversations that we've been having, and I'd love for you, if you're willing, to come back in the future for another conversation. But any parting thoughts before we go from any of you? Maybe you can just quickly share how we can get in contact with you, and just a reminder that I'll post those details again to the Story Strategist Story Conversations page, and I'll put a link in there later. Any parting thoughts and how we can get in contact with you?
Oh yeah, you can just email me, but it's quite long, so I will put it out on the Christian Facebook, Christian Media and Arts Facebook.
Christians in Screen Media, yeah.
Yeah.
Just rolls off the tongue.
I just became a member, so the terminology is not that.
And again, thank you for getting up so early, Els. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was my next thing. Is it always at this hour?
Sometimes earlier for you.
Oh no. No, but it's
geography,
fine.
I'm
I really
afraid.
enjoyed it, and a great honor to be invited alongside these guys who are really make it in Australia, and we're just a new kid on the block. So thank you very much.
Well, it's great to have you on the block.
If you have content, don't hesitate. And also, if you want to get involved in getting productions going, also just email me, and I will get out my email address through Stu and leave it on Facebook.
That's great. Ben?
Yeah, I'll also send you through the best email address, Stu, to be able to post. I would just say, be encouraged wherever stage you're at to go out and create and share your message and share your voice. There's always great pathways to be able to get to where you need to. So don't be discouraged, be inspired. Everything is ahead of you.
That's really good. And Adam?
Yeah, I can share the best email as well. And yeah, I think one of the things that I'm constantly aware of is who you're talking to. And so as you're creating and as you're thinking about what you're wanting to make, always be thinking about who is this person and be real with that, So learn about the audience that you want to communicate with, and that'll just set you on the right path for doing that.
That's really good. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining today. I'm just going to wrap things up here. I just also just want to, just obviously thank all of our guests, and just want to encourage you as well, just to don't be afraid to share. There's lots of good things that we've learned along the way. Feel free to share that information and give people an opportunity where you can. I was just thinking about Adam's student training program that he had, and I'm just going to embarrass Liam, who's sitting next to me in our office. He's actually one of the beneficiaries of Adam's program and at ACCTV, and we gave him a job here. It's not a full-time job just yet, but we're hoping to grow and give him more days every week, but give people opportunities is what I'm saying. Create roles that bring people into this industry. That's what we've got to do if we want to see it develop here locally in Australia. Anyway, we hope that this has been helpful to you. A replay of this stream will be published to the Story Strategist website at the URL which is on your screen. You can see it there, storystrategist.com.au. You'll find the link to the Story Strategist website there, but also the Story Conversations under the Services tab at the top of the web page. We will also publish the contact details to the show notes and the show notes rather shortly after we wrap this episode. I have future episodes planned and guests in the pipeline to join me, so please stay connected by following the Story Strategist on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. All of our links are again at that website, and we'll keep you posted on upcoming episodes. So thank you to everybody that has been able to join us today, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another Story Conversations.